Lower level mezzanine, whatever it's
Garden.
called. Garden. Thank you. Here we go. Good evening and welcome to the Novi Community School District Board of Education regular meeting of Thursday, December 20th, 2018. This is our last regular meeting of the school year. I welcome those of you who have joined us this evening. If you would all please, oh no, excuse me, we are not going to rise yet. I would appreciate a roll call vote, Mr. Mena.
Trustee Cook. Here. Trustee Hood.
Here.
Trustee Mena here. Trustee Murphy.
Here.
Trustee O'Connor, I believe, is absent. Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Stevenson.
Here. All right, thank you. If you would all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first I will need a motion to...
That comes after this middle school report.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, we have a student board member here. Would you like to introduce yourself? I know you're going to give us an update on the middle school.
Yeah, hello, my name is Chayton. I'm a 7th grader at Novi Middle School, and I'm on student council. And what is basically going on in the middle school is on Saturday, December 1st, Novi Middle School hosted the MSBOA Solo and Ensemble Festival. Hundreds of band and orchestra students from our school and nearby schools participated in the festival. Novi Middle School represented 108 events, much more than any other middle school present that day. Students largely prepared for that event on their own and either performed in a solo, duet, trio, or quartet. They performed in front of a judge and were given a rating from 1 to 5. A first or second division rating earned the students a medal. The majority of our students performing that day received a medal. We also had many Novi students and parent volunteers on both Friday and Saturday that helped the day go by smoothly. On October 2nd, 700 students from across our state auditioned to be part of the All-State Assembles in January. They are all 5 All-State Assembles, one of which is Novi Middle School All-State Band, and one of which is Middle School All-State Orchestra. 400 students total were accepted into 5 assembles, and from those 400, we had 9 Novi Middle School students accepted. Those students will be performing in the ensembles at the annual Michigan Music Conference in January. All-State Middle School Band was Arnold Patra, Emily Troy, Kathleen Shang, Eric Mott, and Ashley Reynolds. All-State Middle School Orchestra was Ryan Choi, Rishi Tapati, Kira White, and Julia Park. December 6th was the annual Senior Citizens Day luncheon held at Novi Middle School. It was co-sponsored with the Novi Rotary. We had approximately 125 seniors attend. Students Council greeted and served as hosts for our visitors. Choir and orchestra students entertained with the concert. One of the highlights of the visit was the specially decorated snowman candy bars made by Mrs. Omson, a science teacher at NMS. Santa Claus attended as well. After all, he is a senior citizen. We would like to share with you a video made by 2 of our media arts students. Our collection for the York project was a success. The final count on donations was great. Our MS students donated 32 pairs of gloves, 94 pairs of socks, 284 rolls of toilet paper, and the York project provides essential living items to the homeless in Detroit. We hope to continue this partnership with York project next year too. The Interact Club went to Deerfield on December 5th. We volunteered our time in kindergarten and 4th grade classrooms after school. While there, the middle school students read to kids in organized classroom libraries. The afternoon was a win-win for everyone. The Interact students also walked to Wallbridge after school this week to spend time with patients. They played games and talked with folks from Wallbridge. All had a good time. Students participated in a Novi Power Day focused on gratitude to the half day, November 21st. Students reflected about what they have in their lives for which to be grateful for and shared with other students why they are grateful for them. We also had Matt William, a professional BMX biker, back to school to share a message of kindness and acceptance while showing some of his cool bike tricks. Thank you to the MSPTO for sponsoring these activities. And that is it.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
Lots going on and lots continuing to go on. Are you looking forward to your break?
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you took time to be here tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for
having me.
coming. Yes.
Thank you.
Terrific. Now I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Cook and supported by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have our awards, recognitions, and presentations. Dr. Matthews?
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. And this evening, we would like to recognize our Special Ed Parent Advisory Committee and the work that they did to provide a sensory-friendly Winter Wonderland event. And so I invite Shaylee Patel up to the podium where she can kind of introduce this topic for the board and explain how this was such a wonderful experience for our students.
Good evening. This is Jen Van Norwick. She's our Special Education Parent Advisory co-president. And Georgia Massermay is one of our representatives on the PAC, and these are her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And for the first time, we wanted to do for Novi a Winter Wonder sensory land for kids who don't get the opportunity to go to the mall and take pictures with Santa Claus. We had multiple families. For the first time, their children were 8 and 7 and 6 years old, and they were able to take a picture with the Santa Claus. So it was really a wonderful event. And Georgia could not be with us tonight, but she asked me to read this. In our home, we have 2 children, one child who some would consider above average intellectually, and one child we would consider below. However, in our home, we are just a family. We love our children equally and have the same expectation of both to thrive, to reach the best for their personal potential. Although our children are so different, there is so much alike. As a parent, it's important to me that they share the same experiences and have opportunities to create same childhood memories. I want to thank the community and Novi School District for the opportunity of CPAC and hosting our first sensory-friendly Winter Wonderland event. So we put this video together. Actually, George did. He did a great job. So thank you. We wish you all have a very happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions from the board?
I
Great.
hope this becomes an annual event for the kids.
Yes, we will. We're going to be doing that for sure.
Yeah,
Where was it held again?
Orchard Hills?
yeah. Fantastic. Looks like it was a great event. Love involving some of the other kids, too.
It was good.
I'm sure it was a great experience for them as well.
NATC was there. They were able to sell their blankets. You know, high school, Jody Sakaitis' classroom was there. They were able to sell their things that they make. So it was a really nice pool of the whole entire district coming together.
Fantastic.
Did you send us an invitation on that?
I don't think I did, but I will next year. I wanted to see how the first year goes.
Yeah.
But I will. We will do that.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah, we appreciate it.
congratulations on the success.
Thank you.
And yeah, we look forward to another year. I know probably you have to keep it small because that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense,
we
yeah.
only did,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah, it's sensory friendly, so.
Yes, keeping it low-key is definitely critical.
Yeah. Well, fantastic.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here and
Yes.
sharing.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. All right. Did you have something else? I'm sorry. Okay. Next, we have a Sievert Family Foundation donation. Dr. Matthews.
Yes, we do. The following gift is presented for board acceptance this evening. It's a donation of $10,000 from the Sievert Family Foundation as an unrestricted grant to Novi Middle School. And we would recommend that the Novi Community Schools Board of Education accept the donation as presented with gratitude and appreciation.
All right. I would entertain a motion. Mr. Cook?
I recommend that the Novi Community School District Board of Education accept the donation as presented with gratitude, appreciation, and sincere thanks.
All right.
Support.
Been moved by Mr. Cook and supported by Mr. Mena that we accept the gift. I don't know that there needs to be any discussion about accepting a gift. We certainly are thankful and thankful that there's a foundation out there that felt like they wanted to be a part of helping our middle school. So fantastic. I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the $10,000 donation from the Sievert Family Foundation, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Do we know much about the family or?
They're a Novi family,
Okay.
and they have children in our school district.
Fantastic. All right. Next, we have a recognition of the Board of Education for their service. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. The Novi Community School District would like to thank Dennis O'Connor and Tracy Stevenson for their service to the Novi community and to the Novi Community School District as members of the Board of Education. Community members are elected to the Board of Education not because it leads to greater glory, and at least on this Board of Education, not because it is financially rewarding. Community members pursue election because of their desire to serve the students, families, and community members of Novi. Dennis O'Connor was elected to the Board of Education in 2008 and has served our community for 10.5 years. During that time, Mr. O'Connor has been a vocal advocate for our students and has worked tirelessly to ensure that the board makes good decisions. Tracy Stevenson was elected to the board in 2012 and has served our community for 6.5 years. During Mrs. Stevenson's service to the board, she has served as a voice for all students, and she has also been a strong advocate for our African American student population. As a community, we can never adequately compensate Mr. O'Connor and Mrs. Stevenson for their service. What we can do is give a token of our appreciation that we hope will endure and remind them that their service was valued by the staff of the Novi Community School District and by members of the Board of Education. Tonight, we present a clock to Mrs. Stevenson as a reminder of the time that she served our community. We believe that it was time well spent and that it was time that made a difference in the lives of the students in our community school district. And we also have one for Mr. O'Connor that we will make sure that he gets. So thank you both to Mr. O'Connor and to Mrs. Stevenson.
It is heavy. Do you want to open it?
I think you should open another can.
Very nice. You will be missed.
Do board members have comments they would like to make at this point about our board members? I can start and just say, Tracy, I will miss you. I've missed your sense of humor, your easy laughter have been great, but also just your passion for kind of the underdog and those students that sometimes get overlooked. And that is something that I hope that if you see us doing that, you will call us and say, hey, what about this? But I know that it's been a good awareness for me to have, and it's been wonderful to serve alongside you, so I will miss you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Cook.
Yeah, both Mr. O'Connor and Mrs. Stevenson were on the board when we came on, and I can say that as long as you come onto this board with an open mind, you've learned something, and I think I've learned the most from Mrs. Stevenson and Mr. O'Connor, is the way they treat others on the board, the way they look out for all students, not just a certain segment. They look out for all students, and making sure things are done properly. For that, I'm going to miss both of them. I think they richly deserve any accolades we can give them, but I really appreciate the time that I've served with them, and I'm going to miss some of the knowledge that maybe some of the things that I don't necessarily think about that they did, and I really appreciate them for that. Thank you.
And I think when you said looking out for the underdog, I think that pretty much says it all. I really do hope that you reach out to us and let us know if we're forgetting anybody out there in this district. I think it's important that we have a voice for all of the kids in our district. And again, you've been a positive force on this board for a long time, and I'm blessed to have served with you. I really am. And as far as Mr. O'Connor, I'll miss him as well. He's served this board for 10 plus years, as well as served the Oakland County School Board Association as well. He's always been very fiscally conservative with our district funds. I met him many years ago, primarily because we had similar passions around the Novi School District. He used to be very active in the Novi News prior to being on the school district, giving his opinion on school issues back in the day. So I kind of met him through that route. He was a mentor early on, and he's a great friend, and I'll definitely miss him. I think he's been a positive force on this board for quite some time as well.
The board members, yes, Mrs.
Yeah, I'd like to also thank Mr. O'Connor for his the time that he has spent representing us at the Oakland County Schools, and his time here on the board. And certainly Mrs. Stevenson has been, I don't have to repeat everybody, but she's kind of been the conscience of our board, and I appreciate. I always look forward to her comments because they are often coming from maybe a little bit different direction, and she really considers all students, and that's important. Mm-hmm. And I will miss her.
I don't know if you would like to say anything. I will say your experience as an educator, too. I know that you never crossed the lines. It seemed like you were always able to wear your school board hat here, and yet you have a lot of experience as an educator that I think came into play and certainly allowed us to learn some new things from you in that respect as well. So I don't want to hog all the comments, but I will just say that. I appreciate that.
It has truly been an honor and a privilege to serve. I was going to write a speech, and I was like, nope. They were like, speak from your heart. So I just want to say that the reason I got on the board was because I did want to make a difference for our community, and I wanted to represent our community because I don't feel like we represent our community as being diverse. Our community is diverse, but some areas of our board is not diverse. Some areas of our schools are not diverse, but we're working on that. So I'm glad that we're moving in that direction. I'm truly an educator. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. And I take my job seriously, and I am passionate about children and their education. And that's what I want to make sure that all of our children can see, that you can do anything in this world that you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. So don't you ever let someone tell you that you can't do anything in this world. Because if you have a desire to do it, you can do it. And I want to let children know that I did this for you all. I did this because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to show you that a minority, whether I'm a female, whether I'm African American, whether my social economic background wasn't that great, that I was going to make a difference, and where could I be the biggest voice? And that felt like me being on the board was where I could do that. So it has truly been my honor and my privilege. I feel like I've left some legacy behind. So hopefully my children that might be watching this right now will do something different as they grow up and want to make a difference and be a voice for everyone. And trust me, I will definitely let you know if I see something that is not going correctly. I will kindly write a note. I can go to the podium now and write a note and a message. But it has truly been my privilege to serve, and I hope that other minorities start running for this board and being a voice for our district, because that's what we are. We're a family here in Novi, and it's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to work. It's a wonderful place just to be. Mm-hmm. So I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and congratulations to those that are about to serve on the board, because there will never be a dull moment. I can guarantee you that. And enjoy.
Thank you. Certainly, I've been here with some turnover. There are gaps, and you end up missing certain things, and certainly Mr. O'Connor's service to this board in terms of we're going to have to appoint somebody new to go up to the SCBA, because he's been there for a long time representing us. So just giving you a warning, because I think we have to make that decision in January. And we will not have Mr. O'Connor to fall back on, who's been so gracious to serve in that role for us. So that's just a heads up. We will move on to our first opportunity for comments from the audience. This is the first opportunity for anyone in the audience to approach the board about anything that is currently on our agenda. All we would ask is that you fill out a green card and give it to Mrs. Holly. We do keep track of time and would ask you to limit your time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak about something on the agenda this evening? Everyone is looking down, so I think that's a no. So we will move on to our consent items. These are regular items that don't necessarily need an additional discussion. So I would entertain a motion.
Sure, I'll move that the Novi Community Schools Board of Education approve the consent items as presented.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Smith and supported by Mr. Cook. All those in favor of accepting the consent items, the approval of the minutes and approval of the bills, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have our action items. Dr. Matthews, I'll turn to you for our personnel recommendations.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy, and I will turn to Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. This evening we have one new hire. This is Holly Watson, a social worker at Deerfield. We also have 3 position changes. These are permanent substitute bus drivers, Scott Banco, Gretchen Popovsky, and David Veet. And then 1 continuation or extension of a leave of absence. It's health-related. This is Melissa Krieger, teacher at the middle school.
All right. I would entertain a motion. Mrs. Hood.
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education adopts the personnel report recommendations as presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mr. Mena. Is there discussion or questions about our personnel report this evening? Yes, Mr. Mena.
So as far as the bus drivers go, these were
substitute bus drivers, and we have added a position in the NTA Association for a permanent substitute bus driver. These are, we have 5 subs in every day. So 3 of them we're going to hire on as members of the NTA. We pay them a little bit more, and they are loyal to us. We have them every day. And these are all 3 of these drivers have served successfully as substitute drivers, and they'll be excellent potential permanent drivers if those positions become available also.
So I'm just trying to understand. So we have X number of drivers that we need.
Correct.
But we always have people
There's always
gone
the
on a
need for
daily basis.
substitutes.
So these are just folks who rotate in, they don't have a regular assignment, they just kind of fill in and,
That's correct.
okay, makes sense.
So for example,
Yeah.
on a daily basis, if somebody's sick, they'll fill in. If we need a bus to go to Lansing to take the fourth graders to Lansing, these people can fill in for those kind of roles, and our regular drivers can still do their regular routes. Extracurricular activities after school, all those kinds of things.
Correct.
Are there other questions that the board has? All right, I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the personnel report recommendations, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have our Novi Middle School peer-to-peer course proposal. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. This proposal was presented to the board last week. This mirrors a course that is taught at Novi High School. And this is a course in which general education students are paired with students who have special needs to support them in general ed classes. And the board asked some questions at our last meeting. I sent out answers to those questions. How are the students selected? It's typically based on recommendations from the resource teacher. How will we evaluate if the students are being successful after implementation? The answer was that this course represents one model of 21st century instructional design that incorporates applied or experiential learning in a non-traditional manner. And this also provides social and emotional support for students with disabilities. And we've had this course for one semester, I believe, Dr. Weber, at the high school. And so we don't have complete feedback on the results at the high school, but we will have student survey. We will have also course performance of the students in the class, and also we will have a staff survey. And then the final question was, how were students paired? And it's based on the special ed schedule and also open slots on the general education student schedule. So if you have additional questions, Dr. Weber is available for questions, or I would be available for questions as well.
Well, since it is an action, I would like to have a motion first. We could have a motion. Mr. Smith?
I'd move that the Novi Community Board of Education approve the addition of peer-to-peer leadership program for students beginning in the fall of 2019 at the Novi Middle School.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Smith and supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Are there additional questions that the board has? I know that those had come up at the last meeting. Thank you for providing the additional information. Other questions? No? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the addition of that course, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carries 6-0. Next is our Novi High School Sports Statistic Course proposal. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. This was also a course that was proposed by Chris Payton, who is a teacher at Novi High School, supported by the administration at the high school, vetted through Dr. Weber's Office of Academics. This is statistical reasoning in sports, and the board had several questions last week on this item as well. We sent out the proposed course topic outline for year one of this course. This is a one-semester course that we hope will be paired with a variety of courses, but most specifically the medical math course that we currently have, which is also a one-semester course. As you know, in the Michigan Merit Curriculum, students have to have a fourth year of math at the high school, and so we believe this course fills a niche for that. We also recognize that student choice drives our schedule, and so if students were to not find this course attractive, we would not run this course. But if you have additional questions, again, Dr. Weber or I could answer them, but I know Ms. Murphy will want a motion.
All right, thank you. Entertain a motion first. Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
I move that the Board of Education approve the addition of the sports statistics course for students beginning in the fall of 2019 at Novi High School.
Support. It's been moved by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Stevenson. Are there additional questions? Thank you, Mr.
No
Hood.
questions. I had asked for a number of bullet items, just to get a sense for what kids will be learning in this class. We ended up getting a whole course outline, so a lot of bullet items and stuff. So looks like they're certainly well on their way of finalizing the design of this class. So it's interesting. I find it interesting. I'm going to look forward to seeing after we've run this for a semester, to see what the reaction is to this particular class.
Other board members? Mr. Cook?
This, to me, again, is changing the headline on the same old article, in a dry article, if you want to call statistics dry, which most people would. I'm not going to support this. I didn't support the medical math because it was put in as kids coming out of a class not prepared for the next class. So to me, something's wrong. This is just filling the void that putting that medical math class in created. And I think there's other ways that we could handle this, and filling a void. If we have classes that are semester long versus year long, it would help out, which I had mentioned last time. I have a hard time when kids come out of one class not ready for the next class, and then we start filling in with things that we're teaching anyways in other classes, even though they may not have the opportunity because it's a year-long class. So I don't see why we can't break statistics into two classes, a first semester and a second semester, and let them take the first semester and then the medical math, and have two sessions of the first semester. So I just don't see the need for this class. So
I appreciate your perspective, Mr. Cook. The one thing I can say is that our teachers at Novi High School are very responsive to the needs of the students at the school, and they have identified a need within their curriculum for the course Medical Math and also this course. They honor their responsibility to provide high-quality instructional courses for our students, and I have a lot of confidence that the course is a meaningful course that teaches students concepts in math that they will find useful in their lives, and so from my perspective, this is a course that while it's somewhat out of the box, is a course that will be very effective for students at the high school. I don't know if Dr. Weber has additional comments.
I would concur with you.
Okay. All right, well, I will call the question. All those in favor of the sports statistics course, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1. Next, we have our second opportunity for comments from the audience. This is an opportunity to speak about anything within our jurisdiction. If there is someone who would like to approach the board, we would just ask the same, that you fill out a green card, hand it to Mrs. Holly, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Seeing no one run to the podium at this point, I'm sure everyone's ready to go finish their Christmas shopping, perhaps. I will turn to you, Dr. Matthews, for your superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. The lame duck session of our Michigan legislature has been quite eventful for the school community. The Senate and House passed legislation that the governor is expected to sign that would give every school a grade in 5 different categories. Those categories are student proficiency in math and English language arts, student growth in math and English language arts, growth of English language learners, the graduation rate of high school students, and the academic performance of students on state assessments compared to the performance of students in similar schools. In addition, schools would receive a rating of significantly above average, average, below average, or significantly below average on 3 measures: a rate of students who are chronically absent, participation rate on state assessments, and pupil subgroup performance compared to students in the same subgroup statewide. The interim state superintendent indicated in a letter to the legislature that this undermines 2 years of investment and stakeholder input by adding new requirements that either conflict with Michigan's federally approved Every Child Succeeds Act or violate state law. In short, in my opinion, this is bad legislation. The most concerning part is the comparison between like schools. This means that a high-achieving school that does not compare well to other similar schools may receive a low grade. But this school's performance may well be above average, may be significantly above average, and it may be significantly above another school's performance. However, that other school, because they're being compared to like schools in their class, may be at the head of their group, even though they are behind a Novi school. Yet, with this legislation, that lower performing school will receive a higher grade. The letter grades will not add clarity to school performance and may well create confusion. I appreciate the board members and the community members who contacted our legislators voicing concerns. Both legislators of the districts that they have Novi in them voted in favor of this bill. Today, the state Senate approved legislation for hazardous waste cleanup that will decrease revenues to the school aid fund, according to Gongwers, and according to the Senate fiscal analysis, by $141 million in the current fiscal year, $173 million in 2019-20, and $178 million in the 2020-21 fiscal year. At this time, they were debating it this afternoon and evening. I would suspect that this may have already passed the House and be headed to the governor. This, again, is an example of how lame duck has not been good for schools here in Michigan. And it's also an example of how, as fiduciary agents for the Novi Community School District, my belief is that the board needs to be active in monitoring legislation at the state level and expressing an opinion on legislation that may be good for Novi schools, but in this particular case, in these two particular examples, has not been good for Novi schools. Lame duck is theoretically supposed to end tonight, and my hope is that it does. In October, this board approved a merit plan for 2018-19. It recognized teachers who went above and beyond by earning national board certification for teachers. Those teachers received their merit pay recognition in their December 10th paycheck. The second half of our merit program recognizes through merit the success of the building and district in these categories. Student proficiency is measured by the NWEA. Student growth is measured by the NWEA. English language learner progress toward proficiency. Performance of students with disabilities on these factors: graduation rate, dropout rate, participation in state assessments, and that there is no disproportional representation in our special ed population. The merit awards for 2017-18 were granted in the last paycheck in August for teachers. Additional compensation in the form of merit was a conversation tonight with a board subcommittee. That subcommittee, I believe, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hood, has decided that for 2018-19 we will move forward with our current program, which recognizes our national board certified teachers and works to award schools in the district for meeting performance targets at or above in those four categories. That we will continue with that current program with the desire to continue to have a subcommittee meet this spring to discuss if there are additional measures we could use to provide the legislatively required merit compensation for our teachers. And finally, I would like to take a moment to wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Next, we have our administrative reports. Ms. Minnick.
Good evening, thank you. At the last board meeting, I gave a lengthy administrative report talking about all the work that does go on through December and the winter break, both with our maintenance and operations departments and our business office. I probably should have saved that for this evening. So I don't have much of a report this evening, but I would like to thank Trustee Stevenson and Trustee O'Connor for their service on the board.
Thank you. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you. Over the last 2.5 weeks, Jeff Dinkelman and I have been visiting buildings. We've been in all buildings. We finished this morning at Village Oaks, presenting to teachers changes in the teacher evaluation requirements set out by the state and our plan in Novi to meet those changes. And we look forward to sharing a presentation with you in January. The last board meeting 2 weeks ago, I was absent. I was attending the Aspiring Principals graduation ceremony at Oakland Schools. Ryan Smith, a teacher at Orchard Hills, Allison Bradley, a teacher at Novi Woods, and Gianna Morozic, an employee of Oakland Schools who serves in our technology department, all graduated from the Aspiring Principals program at Oakland Schools and had a very powerful, meaningful leadership experience. And today I sent out our first email to all staff looking for nominees for the Oakland County Outstanding Teacher of the Year program. So we will select winners in February.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Kinzer. Dr. Weber.
So this week I had the pleasure of being shadowed for about an hour and a half by a fourth grader at Parkview. And so I took her on a little trip, and we went and I taught her how to evaluate a teacher. And the teacher that we went into their classroom just did an amazing job. And that's Ainsley Langrick, formerly Sontag. Some of you may have had her along the way with your kids. And Ainsley did such an amazing job. So I had the young lady, so what I want you to try to figure out is, what do you notice the teacher is doing, and how does that interact with the kids to help them learn better? And so she had a notebook, and she was writing it all out. And then after the class, I had Ainsley come and meet with her, and the young lady said, these are the 3 things I really like that you did. And she said, you smiled at the kids when they were struggling, and you taught them dance moves to keep them engaged. And you made sure that if they didn't get it right, they would practice again and again and again. And this young lady wants to be an actor. And the conversation Ms. Sontag gave about, and Langrick gave about feedback, and how rejection is a huge part of being in that field, and that you have to be ready for that. It was a really neat moment, and it just shows that I think our kids are capable of far more than we ever give them credit for. And that in that moment, you really get to see how special our teachers are, and the gift that they are to this community and these kids. So that was great. Also had an inter-school council meeting with our parents. These are the PTO presidents of all the different buildings in our district. Informed them about the A to F grading, as Dr. Matthews has informed us about as well. Very difficult to explain to parents in our community when their sons and daughters go to schools they absolutely love. There's a very strong likelihood that at least one of those elementary schools could receive a D or an F. It's something that I would expect the board to get quite a few questions on, frankly, from the parents who were at that meeting. And parents, as this comes to fruition, are going to have some real questions about that. Not to mention home values, things like that come into it. Finally, Tracy, I'll never forget the moment that we were in this space, and I had this conversation before, or mentioned the podium, but I think it's worth mentioning again. And we were in here, we were at a passing meeting, and you asked, where's the RTI system that we have in our district? It probably in 2011, if I'm remembering correct, spring of. And I looked at you and said, we don't have one. We don't have one. And you said, that can't be possible. And I said, oh, it's possible. We don't. And rather than being, unfortunately, some of the people that we come into contact in our world are wonderful critics and absolutely horrific problem solvers or offers of solutions. And I thank you for being at the board table and asking questions and advocating for kids and families who can't be in this space or in this room. And doing it with decorum, holding me accountable for my job, and always doing it in a way that was appropriate, kind, and from the right place. So thank you for being a board member here in Novi, and those are the memories that I'll remember of you, and good luck in your career, as I know you're working with freshmen every year, so I will be thinking of you and as you go forward with that in Ann Arbor, so thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, be well.
All right. Next is board communication. This is an opportunity for board members to share things that they've maybe done at their schools, or things of import that they feel that the rest of the board needs to be aware of. Yes.
I can say something. So Village Oaks, I was lucky enough, they're my school this semester. Anyway, and tomorrow morning, I think some of you, I don't know if everyone is going to the blue ribbon ceremony tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah. Thank you for the reminder.
Bonus for me.
Yes. Yeah. Exciting. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Last Friday, I attended the performance at Novi Middle School of A Christmas Carol and Zeus on the Loose. And I just want to publicly thank the efforts and time and commitment that Lori Burkhart puts in with those kids. As many of you know, the theater program in Novi does not have a booster program that supports or generates, they've got a club, and it's small.
It's growing.
It's growing, but that's why I want to publicly encourage the parents or fellow graduates. I think of somebody like Harrison Halley, who's a graduate of Novi High School, and who many of you know spent a few years serving as Sparty for Michigan State, and has benefited tremendously from a background in theater and in music. And I think that skill set that you get is undervalued often. We do a fantastic job with math and science and some of the other programs, but I can personally speak from experience that the skill set that you get from public speaking and from theater is tremendously valuable. So I want to encourage more parents to support that, those programs and those efforts. And the play was great and entertaining. And I'll be at Village Oaks tomorrow. So that's all.
Terrific. Other board members have additional things to share? All right, well, seeing none, I will see several of you tomorrow morning. And next we have adjournment. So I would entertain a motion. It's been moved by Mrs. Stevenson at her final meeting, supported by Mr. Smith. All those in favor of adjourning this evening, please say aye. Aye. Those that are opposed, same. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Oh, I should have said.